Dear Americans, we're on a sinking ship.
I'll never let go. I promise.
And he's truly facing his own personal odyssey since 2019. From the initial whispers of the Trump administration claiming TikTok as a security threat, to facing Congress's microaggressive interview.
You said today, as you often say, that you live in Singapore. Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
And finally, meeting with President-elect Trump to prevent the looming ban. In a twist of irony, the president who initially championed the ban to begin with is calling for its reversal to meet his own personal interests and gains.
Spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points.
TikTok mirrors the deteriorating political climate of the US, and this is only highlighted by the ban, while simultaneously serving as a valuable source of community, laughter, global enlightenment.
谁 Who is this diva？ 这位天后是谁？
and financial stability for small businesses. In particular, let's give a moment of silence for pregnant Dobby.
Oh, Dobby hopes this is Harry's child.
You will be missed. In all seriousness, I'm hoping that the final appeal scheduled for January 10th will ultimately result in favor towards revoking the TikTok ban. Not only does this ban infringe on First Amendment, but its removal emphasizes the issues embedded in the social fabric of this nation. The TikTok ban is censorship. Once the legislation will come into effect, it will actively suppress the expression of 100 million Americans who utilize the app.
The only thing all 535 members of fucking Congress can fucking agree on is to ban TikTok. That's it. That's the only thing. I heard him talking about raising the minimum wage. Can't fucking agree on that.
The thing about the TikTok ban is that you can't take away the circus when people can't afford bread. You know what I mean?
And the folks that are supposed to care about us fail to realize, or rather don't care about how this impacts us, our expression.
Notice that every single thing that you listed has the word enough in it. Who quantifies what enough is?
Connection to diverse communities.
Since moving to France is that I don't get misgendered. And this is me, 5 o'clock shadow, stubble. 99.9% of my interactions, I get gendered correctly.
Global news.
Our message is very clear. We are Palestinian journalists. We have been let down by the international community, particularly the international media organizations.
It was actually the U.S. Secretary of State and Senator Mitt Romney this spring when they were talking about the ban. They said this.
Which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok broadcasts. So I'd note that's of real interest, and the president will get the chance to make action in that regard.
Did you catch that? He said the number of mentions of Palestinians on this app is higher than it is anywhere else on any other social media platform.
And the economy. All impacted. Yes, many small businesses and small creators alike will be impacted and affected by this legislation. Some may not even be eligible to get unemployment based on this ban. And TikTok contributes about $24 billion with a B dollars to the GDP. And it also supports about 200,000 US jobs, as reported in 2023. The multitude of vapid questions articulated demonstrated the ineptitude our decision makers have.
So if I have a TikTok app on my phone and my phone is on my home Wi-Fi network, does TikTok access that network?
I wanted to hear you say with 100% certainty that neither ByteDance nor TikTok employees can target other Americans with similar surveillance techniques as you did with the journalist.
They had 5 hours. 5 hours to question him. Ask enlightening questions. Really get into the heart of the issue. Yet they spent most of the time grilling him with yes or no questions. Asking dense questions won't define the root of the problem. And a good reporter even knows that you're not supposed to ask yes or no questions.
TikTok and ByteDance share legal teams. You confirmed this, correct?
General counsel is an American lawyer, veteran of Microsoft.
Also, my colleague, Representative Latta, confirmed that your parent company, ByteDance, currently can access user data. Yes?
We have to be more
And they were grilling him, hoping that he would give them the answer that they so desperately wanted to hear.
I wanted to hear you say.
It's structured to confirm their own bias on the app.
It seems to me that your stronger argument, or at least the one that most interested me, was this argument of, look, if the government is doing something specifically for the purpose of changing the content that people see, that has to be subject to strict scrutiny. But I don't see that as affecting TikTok as opposed to as affecting ByteDance.
Well, no, I very much do see it as affecting TikTok because they choose this algorithm because it reflects the mix of content. The government's fear is that China could come in and pressure TikTok through ByteDance to TikTok to alter that mix of content to make it too pro-Chinese or too anti-American. That is very much directly a content-based charge straight at TikTok. The other point I would like to...
I hear you that it might very well have that effect. I guess what I'm suggesting is that the law is only targeted at this foreign corporation which doesn't have First Amendment rights. Whatever effect it has, it has. You know, maybe ByteDance will figure out a way to put this on open source.
Let's pause for a moment and unpack everything that was mentioned during the Supreme Court hearing on January 10th, which is separate from the other footage which occurred in March 2023, by the way. I am not a lawyer. Why the hell did I do this? Obviously, but I think the pinnacle of the argument the Supreme Court uses here is that the legislation is constitutional because it's enforced on ByteDance, the foreign company, rather than TikTok, which is protected by the First Amendment. Or at least it's supposed to be. And from what I gathered from the Supreme Court Justice's argument, the legislation targets the company's algorithm and not the content on the app. I'm going to keep it a buck. The logic there was hard to follow, especially since the content on the app is dictated by the users that create it, not ByteDance, nor TikTok. And yes, the algorithm helps mediate that content, providing videos that suit the user's interest. And I think that's where the fear stems from, the lack of control the government has on that content, that data, and that money if it was an American company. Cough, cough. But I think what the lawyer was trying to get at was that the algorithm is designed to have an array of opinions free from external influences. It seems like they've already made up their minds and they refuse to call it for what it really is.
Hi, I'm calling to ask about the TikTok ban.
The app is not being banned. The legislation is about restricting and regulating the app. It's not to ban the app.
So will that restrict our freedom of speech?
And despite what the government wants to label it, removing TikTok from the App Stores, Google stores, inhibiting its continued access is a ban. Banning the gateway drug to fascism. And for those who think I am making a mountain out of a molehill, it does all seem silly at a glance. A 30-year-old woman who is bitching on the internet about not getting her daily dose of brain rot in a world where my tax dollars are funding a genocide against my will. In a world where roughly 138,000 women are denied access to reproductive health care, devastating mass shootings becoming a regular occurrence in the US, resulting in about 600 lives taken per year. That's an average. And then there were 200 shootings within the first 2 days of 2025. 2 days. We couldn't even last 2 days. I'm supposed to believe that TikTok is the national security threat when all that shit is happening in this country. To dive deeper into what the feds do not want to acknowledge is that the overwhelming scrutiny targeted at TikTok is the fact that its parent company is from China. And even after Project Texas, which was designed to address the Congress's concerns for user data by housing their data source on US soil, they reject that solution, instead want to divest TikTok to an American company. It's not an uncommon practice for social medias to sell user data. That's not exclusive to TikTok. I'm not saying that it's right to sell user data, but there are better ways to address the issue than targeting one singular company. To me, this initiative of banning TikTok has xenophobic undertones to it. I see the utilization of fear-mongering. And I see the thread of fear and of xenophobia fueled by the Trump administration during COVID, the COVID pandemic.
To be specific, COVID-19. That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus.
And then harmful rhetoric propelled this initiation forward to almost fruition. I think folks are forgetting that. His administration started it, and now he wants to come back in and say I can totally see him trying to take charge of it, say that he's the TikTok savior. But imagine if we had some bipartisan support for shit that actually matters, that actually means something impactful, like climate change. Instead of the Republican senators filibustering the Green New Deal in 2019, we would work with science and not against it.
You proposed $18 billion increase in national spending specifically to address the more frequent and severe wildfires plaguing the American West. This was, of course, widely panned by the media and also politicians that are backed by the oil and gas industry, and yet the $18 billion is marginal in comparison to the total damage that we've seen in California and Los Angeles this past week. The most conservative estimates ranging from $50 billion to upwards of $100 billion.
This is, as I understand it, the warmest year on record, followed by 9 preceding years, which were the warmest years on record. Climate change is real. You're seeing in LA, it's part of what we're seeing all over the world. Massive climate disturbances. It's going to continue to happen. And yes, what the Green New Deal was about is saying, look, that in itself is not going to solve the global climate crisis, but it'll give states and communities better resources in order to deal with the crises that are definitely going to come.
And reduce the mass distribution of misinformation that just causes so much harmful rhetoric to circulate.
The legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. In a couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
So that sounds like the purge. But maybe there's hope. Maybe there's a way we can overcome.
I think it's all about vegetation management. We're not going to succeed together protecting Californians.
Okay, it'll start getting cooler.
From climate change to women's rights to gun control, these are all important issues that are far more pressing in comparison to my doodlebop thirst traps posing a threat on the national security of the United States of America. Though TikTok is a blooming flower indicating my overall frustration, the stem itself exceeds beyond the app and is targeted more at the inaction of the US government. So stop filibustering my nuts and get on with it! Not with the ban. Many TikTok users are scurrying to figure out which platform they're going to migrate to once TikTok is officially booted off the app stores. One of the popular options swirling around right now is Lemonade, because when the US gives you lemons, you apparently get another app called Lemonade. You clicked off, didn't you? TikTok has announced a feature within Lemonade, which allows users to export their archived content on TikTok to the other app. Personally, I don't see how that's an option since ByteDance owns Lemonade as well. Another app many have mentioned is a newer app called Neptune.
Woke up this morning to over 20,000 new signups on our website. We now have like 150,000 people sign up for beta and our launch.
Its release won't be completed until well after the TikTok ban. Could surprise me, it could evolve, but I could totally see how that would die from the inertia lacking from, the dam that will be broken when the TikTok ban takes place. Then we have RedNote taking the App Store by storm. A lot of people are downloading it. It's like a big middle finger to the government. Feels genuine, warm, fun. Stark contrast from places like Facebook. I trust the Chinese Communist Party of handling my data more than Mark Zuckerberg and any other American competitor, because they be fumbling with our data. They be putting their fingies in all the pies. Plus, you would not be getting this type of gold on Facebook.
People ask me, they want to know it's so bad. They want to know it's so bad. How China sound in English? Well, I'll tell you what, it's very easy. It's called Megwa.
And in the midst of the division perpetuated by both governing bodies, we, the people, have found unity in each other, and it's beautiful.
Last night, my good friends have told us some exciting news. Many American and international friends have joined Xiaohongshu from TikTok. This is a unique cultural moment, a chance for us to connect, to know each other.
Which is a really nice fact, and it seems promising. Many are also feeling out ways to bypass the restriction by utilizing VPNs. This video is brought to you by Bored VPN. Yeah, look at you. Right after the TikTok ban, and you are so bored. But congratulations! You made it this far in the video. I am so proud of you. Did you really think I'd be sponsored with only 20 subscribers? That's what I thought. Although in theory the VPN could work, there are barriers that may prevent the effective usage of one. For example, in India, TikTok is banned and VPNs cannot bypass because the restriction is associated with the mobile address IP rather than the IP address itself. Legislation may target this potential bypass method and possibly establishing some legal repercussions. Ultimately, that just depends on what is outlined in the bill. TikTok's landscape, community, algorithm, they're all really special and unique. Remember Musical.ly? Yeah, that was the early stages of TikTok, which Musical.ly is just a shadow of what we know TikTok as a whole today. So one thing's for certain, I'm not going back to any meta application. Call me petty, you're more than welcome to call me that. Just never found those applications appealing. Maybe it just kind of reeks of the end times of Vine. There's just something organic about TikTok that other apps just don't hold a candle to. If I had to glean something positive from all this, it's that instead of the time I would usually spend scrolling on an app, I'm actually gonna take that time to do ventures that fulfill me. Like my fantasy novel that I'm just scratching the surface to complete. Get back to reading some tarot for myself, meditating, actually cook a home cooked meal for once instead of that chemically enhanced TV dinners that I often slap into the microwave. Our dependency on these black mirrors to get a dopamine hit often gets in the way of us living in the present. And I totally get that is the point sometimes, to get us to the next day, and to forget that we are decaying with every single breath that we take. And I want to live the very best that I can, in spite of all the oligarchy malarkey. I just think I need a break from all of it, and although TikTok did supply that for me in a temporary means, I'm gonna have to, I guess, be creative. My fellow Americans, and dearest countries that grace the interwebs, I am sad to report that I will be going down with the TikTok ship. I will be going down until there's absolutely nothing left. I will sit taller as my For You page starts to resemble one of Biden's famous speeches.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was gonna put him
It's difficult to distill TikTok into one word, but if I must choose, I would choose community talk. So many of the communities kind of fuse their topic into the actual name of TikTok, like plant talk, witch talk, clean talk, plant talk. You name it, it likely talks. So once TikTok dwindles into nothing but a fond memory, let's not forget what we built. Let's channel that energy into the issues that desperately need attention and desperately need addressed. And let us not lose our growing sense of community, of expression, and of hope for a better future. Sincerely, Sarah.
Remember, kids, the next time that somebody tells you the government wouldn't do that, oh yes they would.
P.S. Editing Sarah here. Hi, I look very American coded. Almost a week since I've actually recorded and wrote the script. So a lot of developments have been made. Israel, Palestine, Red Note is one of them. The extension, TikTok extension. Those are all down below if you'd like to read more on that. Very hopeful updates. So I'm glad that what I'm ending this video on a more hopeful note. Maybe I should make videos more often. Maybe then I will hear a lot more good news. Knock on wood. And gods above, please let us keep venturing in this positive direction. Let's not go back, let's move forward. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again here soon.